Welcome, everyone. I'm Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon, The Blackest Heart, and The Lonesome Crown, all published by Simon & Schuster Saga Press. Today, I'm going to take you into some obscure mystery novel territory. We're going to be reviewing The Orphans Guilt by Archer Mayer, book number 31 in his Joe Gunther murder mystery series. I got all 31 novels here, folks. I started buying these back when they were first coming out. Paperbacks, hardcovers, all 31. I told you on this channel I'm going to be reviewing some of the more lesser-known novelists that I collect, not just the top fantasy novelists that everybody reviews. I get into some obscure stuff because I want to get you all jazzed about reading. Not just reading the popular stuff, but reading some of this stuff that goes under the radar that's still magnificent. Archer Mayer has been doing these Joe Gunther mysteries since the 80s. Who's Joe Gunther? He's a Vermont detective. A Vermont police officer. Brattleboro, Vermont is his home base. And Joe Gunther, he solves mysteries. One of the things I love about Archer Mayer, let's just talk about the author first. We're going to talk a little bit about the author, then we're going to talk a little bit about the book covers, and then we'll get into Joe Gunther. Archer Mayer, I love this guy. Man, in real life, he's a death investigator for the medical examiner's office there in Vermont. He also is a deputy at the fire department as an EMT. So he's like me. If you've been following my reviews, you know that I work full-time at the Utah State Prison. I've worked in the mental health unit, the gang unit. I currently teach life skills and creative writing and things to the inmates, run the libraries. I got a lot in common with this guy. A lot of us authors actually have day jobs in the real world that help our writing. And this guy's an investigator, a fireman. He writes investigative novels. Right up his alley. I like the guy because we got a lot in common. We hold full-time jobs and we're novelists and we're, semi-successful. Maybe not quite as known as, I'm not as known as Brandon Sanderson. He might not be as known as Dan Brown of the Da Vinci Code. But hey, we're both following our dream and writing books. And he's on number 31, man. I'm only on number 3. He's on 31. And look at this cover. I wanted to talk about these covers. I love this cover design. It's a nice New England, Vermont scene with a bridge. Nicely done, nicely, elegantly put together. I gotta tell you, and I've had some problems with this series. I love great stories that also have great packaging. And I'm telling you, the first few novels that came out in this series, like Open Season, it came out with these sort of stylized illustrations, which I really liked. I really liked these stylized illustrations. But eventually they got away from it and went to this sort of horse shit, photoshopped, just random scenery from just whatever. And none of it made any sense, And I had always thought, this is a series of murder mysteries set in Vermont. And my God, Vermont has so much spectacular scenery. Why don't they just photograph Vermont and put it on the covers? And they finally did. 31 books later, they finally did. So props to whoever was the art director on this one, because you hit it out of the park. Meanwhile, I did like the illustrations on the first half dozen or so books. Anyway, enough about the cover, enough about Archer Mayer, enough about myself. Let's talk about the Joe Gunther mysteries. Let's talk about the Orphans Guilt. Maybe eventually on my YouTube channel I'll review all the rest of them. I don't know. I got 3,000 books up in my library that I got to get to reviewing. But I wanted to make you aware of Archer Mayer right now because this book just came out. I just read it. The Orphans Guilt. Joe Gunther is our main police guy. He's the guy that's in all of these books. Of course, there's the cast of characters that have followed him through, in and out. Some of them disappear, come back in. A lot of the people in the police department, like Willie Kunkel and a few of the ladies that he dates, come in and out of each story through all the books. You don't need to read them in order. If they're all standalones, you won't need to read any of these before you read this one to enjoy it, or any. You can pick up any one of them. But just keep in mind that if you do want to start collecting the series, there are some recurring characters and minor little plot lines that go through, interweave through all 31 books. You can do it however you'd like. I was lucky I started early on this guy. I've been buying these every year since they've been coming out. Murder Mystery, The Orphans Guilt starts out in Brattleboro, Vermont with just a simple DUI. A cop pulls over a guy, gives him a DUI, takes him to the jail, books him into the jail. The guy bails out of jail, vanishes. Can't find him. At the same time, the guy's brother dies. The guy's brother now suffered a brain injury when these two were really young kids. And so the guy that got the DUI was sort of the caretaker of the guy with the brain injury. So the guy with the DUI, he vanishes. The guy with the brain injury dies at the same time. And now we've got our mystery. The Joe Gunther and the Brattleboro Police Department got to figure out what happened to the brain injury kid, what happened to the guy with the DUI, and why has he vanished, and what happened in their past that may have caused a lot of problems. And that's the basic plot. Won't get into anything much more than that, I don't give plot spoilers, and that's really all you need to know. It's your basic murder mystery. All of these are just very well written, solidly plotted murder mysteries written by a guy who's also a cop and a fireman. And that's very well done. So well done that, his publisher, Minotaur Books, has published 31 of these things. Every year they come out with a new one because they're just awesome. And if you want to learn about Vermont and the Vermont culture and stuff like that, this is a good place to start, folks. The Joe Gunther Murder Mysteries, Orphans Guilt. I give about all of these. They're not my favorite mystery series in the world, but I love them enough that I've collected them all. I give them all, just pretty high ratings just for the fact that I've collected them. I give this one about 7.5 out of 10. I think it's a pretty solid entry into there's some of the earlier ones that I would rate sky high. And throughout, Orphans Guilt, Archer Mayer. If I didn't sell you on this particular book, maybe I sold you on Archer Mayer himself, and you need to go out and get his stuff because it's good.